I cannot but believe strongly in the need for economic planning. I also realize that payment to physicians per se and relative to our peer groups is a component of work satisfaction, and that payment without this is intrinsically bad for the motivation and character of most people. I will argue today that much of our present healthcare planning difficulties in the United States are the consequence of economic manipulation of physician behavior in the absence of consideration of our ethos. I am neither against social planning with economic ends, nor economic planning with social ends, but I am against both when doctrinaire and not part of a larger humanistic whole. The destination of my talk lies beyond economics and beyond the Academy's expert and necessary legislative and economic capabilities. An additional method of dialogue has become necessary. The Austrian-American economist Friedrich Hayek wrote that economic planning was social planning, whether done by right or left-wing governments, and that at its roots, all planning was potentially hazardous to liberty. He believed that the waning of workplace autonomy initiated by economic planning altered the character of people who, in becoming accustomed to loss of control in their workplace, tended to become less concerned when their political liberties were infringed. Over the years that I have been involved in national medical politics, I have seen the gradual erosion of our liberty as physicians to work in the manner we believe most appropriate, and of our confidence in our standing in the political forum. At the healthcare planning table, after identifying problems with directions proposed by our health planners, we work to salvage as much as we can, thus tacitly consenting to these decisions. I believe that those of us in organized medicine, such as our universities and professional associations, bear the responsibility for arguing for the specific agenda of the medical profession, because we know that planning, which does not incorporate consideration of the ultimate and limiting pathway of ill health care delivery, the patient-physician relationship, will always fail. The path is not around us, it is with us. It is clear to me that we are at a crossroad. The time has come to invigorate our purposes, strengthen our commitments to our causes, and collectively manage our political challenges. We need to reclaim the initiative, and as our society is complex, impacting a nationwide social agenda will require more than one proposal. The new dialogue I will recommend as we physicians start to heal ourselves is but a piece of the pie, yet a fundamentally necessary effort. We must never allow patients or physicians to be thought of as dots on the health planning spreadsheet. First, some background. Those of us in biologic endeavors have been privileged to understand the deep scientific accuracy of the need for both economic and humanistic planning, and that planning done in this fashion is most likely to stand the test of time and produce both short and long-term behavior modification. The biologic basis of human, numeric, and economic understanding has been revealed by Glimcher and by Platt by our ability on a preconceptual cellular level to recognize value, utility, and numerosity through lateral intracortical parietal neuron firing frequency. The biologic basis of our capacity for social planning has been revealed by our ability, again on a preconceptual cellular level, to recognize intentions, expectations, and motivation through Rizzolati's description of the mirror neuron. We understand that we are, at least in part, wired to behave altruistically. Through the work of Kandel, we recognize the molecular basis of long-term memory formation by the synthesis of a new mRNA and protein and its epigenetic impact on our genome. Our epigenetic modifications reflecting in part the consequences and in part the causes of our social evolution, and our dawning recognition of our inescapable duty and responsibility to our own genetic future, vastly different from eugenics, demands at a minimum the need for a balanced approach to our planning. Quite simply, this biologic basis of the need for concurrent economic and humanistic planning is the ultimate in translational medicine, and this concept is the foundation of my thoughts. Economics is a fiscal and a social science. The gross national product metric was developed in the 1930s to facilitate understanding and supposedly management of society's tendency to boom and to bust, and has been used in our consumer-oriented society to reflect consumer contentment. However, in the late 19th century, English economists believed that economics was purely about happiness or contentment. Contentment theory was first described by the ancient Greeks as eudaimonism. This is currently used by social planners, economists, and ethicists, and taught in business schools around the world. And I find this philosophy appealing, as it is so much like our thinking as physicians. EU is Greek for good, and daimon means internal spirit, and collectively, eudaimonism is spoken of loosely as happiness or contentment, but is far broader. It is the building block for human flourishing. Though first discussed by Socrates, Aristotle later defined a hierarchy of human purposes, with eudaimonia as the highest and only end towards which it is worth undertaking any means. This is not constituted by honor, wealth, or power, but by rational activity in a complete life, which I understand to be a meaningful life manifested by virtues of character such as courage, honesty, integrity, a sense of personal responsibility, intellect, rational judgment, scientific knowledge, and friendliness. Many consider the search for contentment inherent in humans as social animals, and that after satisfying our basic survival drives, our common denominator is contentment. Darwin, in his book The Expressions of Emotions in Man and Animals, and his grandfather before him, commented on joy being preserved during evolution because of its adaptive utility, and also we recognize this by neonatal pre-linguistic recognition of the implications of a joyful and of an angry expression. Happiness is considered by many to be an objectively measurable and repeatable dimension of human experience, demonstrated by single-cell recording, functional imaging, and preference assessments such as life satisfaction surveys. We have all been taught since childhood that money can never buy contentment, but money does have a complex relationship to happiness, revealed in part by the following three graphs. This graph reveals that on a countrywide basis, contentment rapidly increases with increasing wealth beyond subsistence, but does not continue to grow with increasing wealth, reaching a peak in many countries with lesser economic standing than ours. This graph reveals for individuals that the growth of contentment in the United States since 1965 has not paralleled our increasing wealth, and similar curves have been defined in many other countries. Social contentment is also revealed by studies of society's discontent. For example, in the United States, 9 years ago, the percentage of adults who thought that most people could be trusted was half of what it was in the 50s. Though contentment studies do not tell the whole story, it is clear that financial well-being and its metric, the gross domestic product, has shortcomings when used as the sole arbiter of societal well-being. Though there is value in wealth, this reaches a point of maximum return. Wealth alone is insufficient for contentment, and both wealth itself and striving for wealth may in some ways be deleterious to contentment. Market metrics such as wages and output are now considered suboptimal when used alone. Metrics of internal contentment, reflecting, for example, self-esteem and workplace fulfillment, provide additional understanding of the quality of society, and societal planning using these themes, used first in Bhutan, are now being used by Canada and the United Kingdom, and are being evaluated by China, Thailand, New Zealand, Australia, and France.